Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. My name's David, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about what it means to live on your edge and what that means to me to start off. Living on your edge means that you are aware of your fears and you're gently pressing up against them, always firstly aware what your edge is through knowing yourself and being true to yourself. And then, as in a yoga practice, to live a daily life as a daily practice of knowing your edge and living on it, you actually begin to push yourself in a really, really, uh, you know, a way that is only really capable if you choose to do so. No one can choose for you to do that. You must, of your own free will, choose to put yourself in slightly uncomfortable positions to grow. New experiences. There's so many ways that you can exist and live on your edge. I mean, whatever makes you uncomfortable, to go and do that and be with that. That is one way of being on your edge. Traveling, just changing the scenery, just picking up and moving to another place, that might be living on your edge for you. Could be trying something new, a new hobby. That could be jumping out of a plane. Could be infinitely many things. But there's kind of three zones that we can talk about. One is like your comfort bubble. Anything inside here you're fine with. You're content doing, you're safe, but you're also not really being challenged, and you're not really stepping up into what you might actually be capable of doing. And then just beyond that is your edge. And if you are in this gray zone, this in-between zone, this is where you want to be. In yoga, you don't want to not be getting a good stretch while you're doing the pigeon and opening up your hip. You really want to be on your edge. You want it to simultaneously feel good and almost hurt, but not like causing lasting damage. But that's how you know you're on your edge, when it's like it's slightly discomfortable, but you also know that it's good to be there because you're pushing yourself. And then the third zone would be too far. That's like you're a little out of tune with yourself and you jumped into this roaring ocean of roaring waters, and you're not really quite ready to swim there yet. You might end up drowning. So the reason I'm giving these three tiers is because you want to be in the middle. You don't want to be in your comfort circle, your whole life, where you're never being challenged, never being pushed, and you don't want to straight jump off the boat into a hurricane storm either. And how you do this is really, I really empower you to figure this out by just dropping in daily to your heart space, meditation, yoga, whatever practice brings you into the present moment. It could be music, it could be climbing, it could be anything that works for you, really. And so I just wanted to talk about some of my experiences of being on my own edge, and through those experiences and pushing myself, you actually come to understand more where your edge is and what you're comfortable doing or not doing. So I went abroad to New Zealand a year and a half ago, and I studied there for about 6 months. And that really put me on my edge. I didn't know anyone that I was going with, and it was just so just traveling in general definitely puts you on your edge, and you learn a lot by putting yourself into an experience that you're not necessarily at first glance comfortable with. How am I going to make money in this new place? How am I going to do all these things? It really takes a desire for change to be put on your edge. Or not just change for the sake of change, but growth and progression. So we as human beings, the reason I'm talking about why it's important to know your edge and then live in your edge and on your edge and always pushing a little bit farther It's because that's how we must live if we are to grow, if we are to learn and change. So yeah, I wanted to read something from, this is like the fourth chapter in this book called um, The Way of the Superior Man. I just started reading it. I'm like 20% in on the Kindle. But chapter 4 is Know Your Real Edge and Don't Fake It. You know, I'm just going to read from it for a minute, and I hope this is helpful. It is honorable for a man to admit his fears, resistance, and edge of practice. It is simply true that each man has his limit, his capacity for growth, and his destiny. But it is dishonorable for him to lie to himself or others about his real place. He shouldn't pretend he is more enlightened than he is, nor should he stop short of his actual edge. The more a man is playing his real edge, the more valuable he is as good company for other men, the more he can be trusted to be authentic and fully present. Where a man's edge is located is less important than where he is actually living his edge in truth. So living your edge is more important than knowing where it is. So yeah, if you were absolutely fearless, would you be earning a living in exactly the same way as you are now? Your edge is where you stop short, or where you compromise your fullest gift and instead cater to fear or collapse to the fear. So one way of knowing where your edge is knowing where are those areas where instead of pushing through it, you kind of shirk away and you collapse into the fear-based mentality. That's where your edge is. So I'm going to read this one too. A free man is free to acknowledge his fears. A free man is free to acknowledge his fears without hiding them or hiding from them. Live with your lips pressed against your fears, kissing your fears, neither pulling back nor aggressively violating them. So the reason I thought this is important to share is because it talks about fear and how important it is. Living on your edge is basically knowing what your fears are. And being free, a free man is free to acknowledge his fears and neither hide from them nor pretend that they're not there. So this moment is evolving right now within me, that we're moving away from suppression. When we suppress a fear, we run away from it. When we express it, we express that it is there, we acknowledge it, and in so doing, you give yourself room for growth. So that's what it is to live on your edge in the realm of fears. You know, it doesn't have to be physically doing something, but it could be a fear of what if. And I just want to express that when you are able to sit with whatever comes up, whatever internal fear arises, if you can sit there and acknowledge it and be present that that is the reality of this moment, then you're being true to yourself. And when you acknowledge that it is a part of you, whatever this fear that you have is, it could be a fear of spiders, creepy crawlies. When you acknowledge that there's a spider on the table, and you just acknowledge that, wow, I'm feeling afraid of it, without being attached to anything, that is the first step towards living on that edge. And I want to empower everyone who's hearing this right now that living on your edge is so vital, and only you can choose to do it for you. So learning what you're afraid of and taking steps to be present with it, sit with it, notice how it feels, notice why you're feeling that fear, and take steps to push beyond that for your own growth. This is an intrinsically important thing for all of us going through ascension and shedding old layers and stepping into this beautiful realm of divine, infinite light, and part of the ascension process is knowing where your fears are at and then doing your work. No one can do it for you. Doing your work to move through them, and be present with what's coming up. And I want to end this with just some quote that I'm going to try to remember right now. that I'm going to remember right now, and that's that fear is not real. Fear is created by the human mind. But don't get me wrong, dangers and threats can be very real. But fear is a choice. Fear is a reaction to a danger or a threat. It's actually an incoherent, resonant state that your heart moves into. Fear and anxiety and stress and anger. It's an incoherent heart state. It's very erratic and it's inconsistent. And through that inconsistency, it's less capable of responding and proactively helping whatever that threat or danger might be. But when you can observe a danger, such as a fire in the house that just started, if you can maintain a coherent state, you're infinitely more likely to be able to think, oh yeah, let's go get a fire extinguisher, or let's go get water. So anyways, this is my first transmission, and I chose to do it about living your life on your edge and why that is very important for learning and growing and empowering yourself. The intention for this message is to empower you, whoever you are listening, to understand that for you to move forward in your life, you must empower yourself to put yourself on your edge, out of your comfort zone, so that you can grow and mature and learn and experience. And being free to acknowledge your fears, to express them rather than suppressing them. So yeah, I think that's good for now, and thank you for tuning in, whoever you are and wherever you are. I have much love and gratitude for you listening and choosing to listen, and yeah, more transmissions to come for sure. This is the first of many, so yeah, I love you all. Thank you for being here, and until next time, much love.